You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt McGackie, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Johannes Ekström of Avatar. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers.
It sounds like you have a seriously hardcore tremolo on your voice.
I do. You know, I have a latitude installed in my throat. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the ToneMob.com podcast, the show about guitar tone and the people behind it. And with me today, I have none other than Brian Wampler of Wampler Pedals and the Chasing Tone podcast, actually.
Yeah, how's it going?
Quite nice. Good. Nice. I didn't know that we were going to be doing this today when I started the day, so this brightens the rest of my outlook on life.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to let you down.
Well, I did have to kick. I was going to interview Gene Simmons, but I decided this was more important. So.
Who's that? Who?
Gene Simmons. You might be familiar with him.
Does he play country for like Shania Twain or something?
I think so. Yeah. I think that's what he's most known for.
Yeah,
that's right.
I think it's ringing a bell now. Plays a Telecaster, I think. Yeah.
He plays a Telecaster, yeah, and I think he has some. He does like side gigs with Rihanna or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, what's happening in Wampler world today?
Oh my
Anything
gosh.
Cool.
Let's see. Well, we did a podcast today. We shot another Chasing Tone podcast.
Very nice.
We did a Periscope. And then I went to the doctor and got a physical, which means that I got my prostate checked. Which, being once you're 40, I don't know if you're 40 yet or not, but if you're not 40,
I'm not 40.
Okay,
no,
that's
I'm not.
You have this to look forward to. Okay, this is where I don't know if you know what this is, but this is where. First, let me say, if you have kids in the car, probably wait till later to listen to this next part. So this is where they decide that they're going to put on rubber gloves.
Rubber gloves, right? Mm-hmm.
And I'll make this clean.
Mm-hmm.
And from the rear entry point, decide whether via fingers decide whether you have anything wrong with your prostate. You know, make sure there's no prostate tumors or anything like that, right? Make sure it's not enlarged. So,
right, yeah, mm-hmm. I'm familiar. I've heard of said practice, yes.
It's about as comfortable as it sounds. It usually, every time it's, I've had to have this done for a few years now, so every time it happens, I sound like a 3-year-old getting a shot for the first time, And everybody's like, what's wrong with that guy? He's getting a prostate checked. You know what I mean? So, I'm the guy like,
So. I don't mean to laugh at your pain.
No.
That was us young folks don't understand these things yet.
Hashtag old guy problems. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I guess we'll all get there one day. Did he at least take you out to dinner?
I didn't even get a kiss. I didn't even get a kiss. So I don't know.
Well, this is a first topic of conversation.
Yeah, so guitar
this is a good
gear.
way, guitar gear. And
yeah.
prostates.
Speaking of the brown note. Yeah.
Oh man, good times. Well, there's there's a first time for everything. Last, I talked about vegetables one time, and now we're talking about
prostates.
Prostates.
Yes.
Oh man,
I can see the headline now. Brian Wampler talks about prostate exams and how he hates KY jelly.
Yes, that's. Oh, I'm gonna have to work this into the tagline for this show somehow. That's great. I'm trying to come up with a witty comeback or comment, and I'm just laughing in like I'm trying not to laugh as hard externally as I am internally, because nobody needs to hear that. But
yeah.
So let's
By
see
the way-
what.
I will
I'm
say, by the
sorry.
way, the first time I had this happen, this is kind of a funny little side note. It has nothing
All right.
to do with gear, but it's still funny. But if you watch the Chasing Tone podcast, you know that we never stay on any sort of topic. So,
Of course.
so like the first time I had this happen, I have prostate cancer in my family's history, so I had to have it checked in my about 35 or so. So, I didn't know like this was how it worked. So I took my he was little at that time. I took my younger son with me, and the doctor said, "Yeah, this is how we got to do this prostate exam." I'm like, okay. So I told my son to like go out in the hall and wait, and of course, said scream came out the same way, probably a little louder because I'd never experienced that before.
Right.
And I came out and he was like cracking up. Just I sound like a little schoolgirl apparently, and he still likes to bring that up to this day.
And how old's your son?
Well, now he's 15, so
Yeah, he's got great stories to tell his friends.
Oh yeah, he's got plenty of them. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. I don't even know how we can go up from there. Like this is,
and that's this week's podcast. Thanks.
Yeah, this is everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time.
So I don't know. How about let's what we can talk about is guitar gear.
Oh, we could, I suppose, but I actually don't want to talk about guitar gear.
All right,
interested
then.
in it.
So let me tell you about the rest of my physical. So then,
Does this rash look funny to you? Does it look weird? Is this normal?
Oh man, I could go so many places with that, but
yeah.
I'll just leave that right there.
Just put it right on the table. Just walk away. Walk away from that one. So, what we will do though, since
Sure.
I shouldn't have said I don't want to talk about guitar gear. I want to talk about something semi-related to guitar gear, and it's my my normal question, which would be, what's Brian Wampler's backstory musically? How did you get from tickling a Telecaster to doing what you're doing today?
Well, I was like 7 years old, and my brother was a drummer in a band, like a home band, and this is like many years ago. So, being my brother's like 8 years older than me, so 7 or 8 years older than me. So I kind of looked up to him, of course, and the guitar player had this flying V, and I thought that was one of the coolest things ever at 7 years old. So I decided at that point I was going to be a guitar player. And really that was the start of it. But, from that point on, I talked my parents into buying an acoustic guitar for me. Right, I wanted an electric. They bought me an acoustic. And that one, I have two brothers. My other brother and I got into it, and I smashed it over his butt. So, yeah.
All right.
So that was gone.
Yeah.
And so then, somehow I gave my parents the sob story about how it wasn't my fault. They bought me a cheaper electric guitar. So at that point, I actually did, I started, I took some guitar lessons from a local store and learned, such hits such as Yankee Doodle, great.
Oh, yes.
Yes, great stuff like that back then. And quit guitar lessons pretty soon after that, and just started listening to the radio and started learning stuff from ear. And then, that was like 7 or 8, 9 years old at that time. And from then on, this was like through the 80s. So, I had a lot of friends that played guitar, and I don't know. I just kept on playing through, my early teens, and got into bands in my later teens, and got into the college scene, and later on got into a country band, and just all these years just been playing. And I was always the guy that you don't want in your band. So I was the guy that was on the floor fiddling with his pedals during the middle of the song when he should be playing. like that was me. Or if I was a multi-effects unit, you know how that goes when you have a multi-effects unit. Back then,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the RP20s, if anyone's probably not familiar with that, but there's like, you have these scrolling menus like left and right, and like 4,000 buttons, and so you're trying to change settings on a patch in the middle of a song, and by the time you're done changing the setting, the song's over, right? So.
Right.
Yeah, so I was, a lot of people were like, dude, man, just stop messing with your stuff and play the song. And I was just like, but it's not right. I can't get it to sound right, So I was always way more obsessed with that, with finding the right sound than learning exactly how Steve Vai played, for the love of
Right.
God. You know what I mean? That just... I do have friends, like Steve Townsend, like you see on some of our videos on YouTube. He was a guy I went to school with, and he was that guy who he would learn note for note everything, like Yngwie, everything.
Right.
And then I'd come over to his house, and I'd be like, dude, I think you need like a little bit more, around 1.5K, just a couple decibels. And he'd look at me like I was nuts. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's about 1.5K, maybe a hair 1.8 or so. It's not there. You're missing something right there.
And he just looked at you like you were insane.
Yeah, he's like, listen, I'm just playing. I don't care if it sounds exactly like. I want, you know what I mean? It was a whole different. I just approached it from a different way, and so, anyways, it didn't take me long. I did play. Went down to Nashville and played on Broadway for a year or so with a band, and that was right around the time I was doing the DIY stuff, or maybe a little bit before. And then I decided, you know what, I'm not going to be a professional guitar player. It's just not my thing. So at that time I was just getting into modding pedals. So I was modifying pedals for some guys there on Broadway, and built some prototypes for them, and they liked them, and they told their friends, and their friends told other friends, and next thing you know, Brent Mason's asking me to build him a pedal. So
that's a pretty epic one thing leads to another type of situation.
It really was, yeah. I mean, and so looking back, I mean, it's really hard for me to listen to music like most people. And I think a lot of guitar players are that way anyways, but I'm always kind of looking at it from a kind of a technical level, like, how would one achieve that sound? You know what I mean? Versus, wow, listen to that lick that guy played. So,
right.
I mean, even today, like, I hear stuff on the radio, and it, like, what I'm listening to is like reverbs and delays and stuff, like, you know what I mean, on vocals and or even on drums or something. And I'm like, oh, that's a cool reverb, and I'm thinking in my mind how to recreate that. So it's just, I'm not a very fun person to go to a concert with, because I just stand there and absorb it rather than enjoy it, I guess.
Right.
So,
just perfectly still, just taking it in.
Yeah. And, my wife's like, well, I'm not now, but I mean, when we first were dating, she's like, you don't seem like you're having fun. I'm like, no, I'm having a great time. I'm watching. This is how I do concerts. I watch and learn and absorb, and then take that back and go try something with it,
Right.
So
are you doing what every like gear nerd does? Like, I don't know how many shows or what size of concerts you're talking about, but like, I'm sure most people listening to this are doing the tippy toes, trying to look at the pedal board. What is that? What has he got going on there?
All the time.
It's like, my wife was like, knock it off. Like, why do you care so much? I'm like, because it's important. This is important stuff.
You don't understand. That's where it all starts. Everything starts from that pedal board.
That's right. That's right. Not his hands. Forget about it. I want to know.
Exactly.
It's a sickness. It is for me.
It is.
I don't know.
No, I mean, there's even like, I'll sit in with like local bar bands in the area and stuff, and I'm always curious like what they're playing, and you know what I mean. Or even if I just happen upon, like, for example, we'd like to go into the Keys is one of my favorite places to vacation. And so we'll go to Key West where there's a lot of bands there. And like one of my favorite things to do is just go in from bar to bar and listen to the guys playing and see what they're actually using, and just, and every now and then I'll bump into someone and they're like, "Hey, you're Brian Wampler." And I'm like, "Yeah,
yeah, I kind of am."
This is, that, yeah, I mean, I don't mean that in an egotistical way, but I mean, like, generally when someone says that and then they talk to me for a few minutes, they're like, "I thought you'd be a lot cooler." No, pretty average. Pretty average.
I mean, on some level, to be in this business, kind of at the level, especially that you're at, and then even at what I'm doing, you kind of have to be a nerd.
You do,
and it's like, I think really this might be a controversial subject, and I hope I don't lose half my listener base, but guitar players are kind of nerds usually. There's not as many cool quote unquote guitar players as you'd like to think.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I see where you're coming from. The thing is, like, the cool jockey guys are the guys that are paying to get into the bar to listen to you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, and the guy on stage is going home with their girlfriend, so it's okay.
Yeah, it all worked out.
It all works out.
Eventually, the nerds do triumph. It just takes a while.
Exactly.
So you started, I don't think I actually even knew this until recently, until I'd seen some of your posts, that you weren't always putting stuff out under the Wampler name. It was indie guitarist, is that correct?
Yes, it is. Yep.
And was that more like a DIY thing, or what's the story with that?
Well, yeah, indie guitarist came about because whenever I was first, like, tearing apart pedals and trying to figure out how it all worked, I mean, I was actually taking notes for myself. Excuse me, I was taking notes for myself, and like, for example, on a Boss DS1, these, C1 does this change, C2 does this change. You know what I mean? So it was all like notes for myself. And so I was modifying pedals for people, and people were asking me, like, what to change on their pedal, like on different DIY forums and stuff. And eventually, at some point, like, I was answering so much email, I'm like, I'm like wasting hours per night answering questions about this stuff. And one of my friends said, "Dude, why don't you just make like a small ebook and just charge a couple bucks for it, and that way you get paid for your time? Just put it all in the ebook." And I thought, "Oh, okay, sure, that's easy enough. Make a Microsoft Word document, turn it into a PDF, and there you go. Charge a couple bucks for it, and they get the information they want, and you get a little piece of your life back." So, and that's really how that started. I mean, it was more of a hobby that turned into a business. And then I actually thought that the DIY stuff was going to be my main business. And oddly enough, what's funny is, like, you can see the books that I wrote today. Like, if you look up how to modify effect pedals on Amazon, you'll see some of them that are selling for like $700 or $800 a piece.
Really?
It's totally ridiculous. And every time someone asks me about it, I'm like, "Don't pay that much for it. Like, don't, seriously. It's not $800 worth it."
That I did not know they were going for that much. Wow.
Yeah. I actually saw a few months ago someone was trying to sell one for like 3,000 or 4,000, which is just stupid.
But somebody's buying them.
Besides, yeah, I mean, it's because I ended up making it a print on demand thing.
Right.
And so, yeah, I sold them for a while, and you'd be surprised. I won't name any names, but you would be surprised how many people that own effect companies now that you probably buy pedals from that were my customers at one time. So,
right.
So here, okay. So I'm seeing this, not to get off subject again. Yeah, I'm going to get off subject. So
it's fine.
So I'm seeing this on Amazon, and it kind of upsets me a little bit, just because I feel like someone's getting taken advantage of. Right. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to rewrite this, fix the mistakes, make it better, and I'm going to put it back out there for $30 or something. Just enough where people can get this back in their hands and they're not getting ripped off. So that's one of the things I'm doing right now, is rewriting that book. It'll be
cool.
I hope to have it out by the end of the year. But it's Yeah, so that was the indie guitarist thing. What the reason for indie guitarist is because Indianapolis, Indy 500, everybody calls Indianapolis Indy.
Right.
So, and I was a guitarist, so that, I'm not saying I'm the most creative person at coming up with names, but that was like the first thing that popped in my head. I'm like, good enough. Let's go to GoDaddy and register. It'd be fun.
There you go. That'll work.
Yeah. So, and that's it. That's the story.
That's the indie guitar story. That'll be cool. I'm really excited. That actually excites me a lot. I'll be in line if there's a line. There's not going to be a line, but you know what I mean. I'll be online to snatch that up when it drops, because I am super interested, and I have very limited knowledge, and I needed to work on that.
Well, just for you, I do have one extra book left, and for $650, it's yours.
Really?
I know. I know it's tempting. I know, but
I'm gonna have to probably. Well, I'm probably gonna have to sell some of my Wampler pedals to afford it. But I guess
that's okay. They're all clones anyways. They're all tube screamers.
Well, that's right. I forget they're all tube screamers. We've had this conversation before. Remember, we talked about how the Latitude is really just a tube screamer.
Yep. All tube screamers and toasters. If it's not a tube screamer, it's a toaster.
A toaster.
Yep.
Oh man. So it's just a modified tube screamer. The Latitude is basically.
Yes. You take basically the way you turn a tube screamer into a tremolo is you open it up. And then you take everything out, and then
all of it.
Yeah, every piece, and then you put a new circuit in, which makes a tremolo circuit, and boom, modified tube screamer, right there.
I just had a really I kind of have no reason to want this, but I do. I want you to put a tremolo in a TS9 case for me sometime.
That actually would be pretty cool, man.
That would be so funny.
It would be great to have a pedal board full of tube screamer boxes, but everything does something different, of course.
Oh man, that would be priceless.
But they all are tube screamer cases. That would be great.
Oh, that'd be so funny. I smell a promo video.
Oh man, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Speaking of pedals that are awesome, that I've wanted for a long time, and I know it was intended as a joke, but I know me and two other dudes at least, who are totally on board with the Hairstortion. Like if it, we watched when you dropped that video, we were like, I know this is April Fool's, but I really hope he makes that for real sometime, because I'll buy it just because.
Right. Well, I would tell you that the next podcast that's coming out, let's see, it's coming out the 6th of November. So,
okay. So people will probably have seen it, but if not, you can go back. Right.
Go back and look on YouTube for episode. I don't know. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible at this. So let's see. Well, anyways, search for Chasing Tone Hairstortion. It'll be in the title somewhere.
It'll be there? Okay.
Yeah. So, and I actually detail the exact chain that I used for that video, because we get this question so much. I get so many emails of people asking me if they can, well, first they say, what pedal. Actually, generally it starts with people asking me if they can buy one. And I explain, you realize it's a fake pedal with nothing but a fan that turns on, right? Like a small computer pedal. And they're like, well, what was the sound? I want the sound. And I'm like, dude, it's not a pedal. It's an 80s thing. It's an MP1, ADA MP1 from the 80s. Like,
of course it is. What else would it be?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
So, yeah. So check it. So if you like video, check that out on YouTube this Friday.
All right. Yeah, we'll definitely do.
Or if you're listening to this a while back, check it out. Check it out a while back.
Just hit up the Google, you'll find it.
Right.
So what you're telling, in in all that, you're telling me what I didn't want to hear is that I can't buy that pedal. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Well, you can buy a pedal, but you can't buy that pedal because that pedal was nothing but a fan. Now, I probably
know.
can make
You're just crushed. You're like telling me that it's like Santa Claus isn't real right now.
I never said that. Now let's not go too far. But
yeah, Santa's real.
Yeah, I mean, don't.
It's all right. The kids aren't listening after the prostate thing, so we're okay.
That's right. Every dad that listens to your podcast is now like that Brian Wampler jerk. No, look at the damage I have to undo with my kids.
Well, hey, you told him to turn it off. It's not your fault.
That's true.
You told him to listen to it later. You gave him the warning.
I did give him a warning, so it's but I guess now it's your problem. It's your podcast.
What am I going to do with this episode?
I don't know. Lucky you.
Huh. Well, thanks, Brian. Thanks a lot. I don't even know how we got there, but
things tend to go oddly off topic whenever I'm involved. I don't understand why.
I don't want you to get to feeling special about that because it happens every time. So I'm starting to wonder if it's something in us guitar player gear guys that it's our brain going like squirrel.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to have some level of ADD or OCD or whatever, AT&T, whatever. You have to have some level of that to like be a musician. I think that like having that deficiency and playing guitar, like the playing guitar kind of fixes that deficiency in a way. You know what I mean?
I think you're right.
I mean, I don't know. It's like all the like normal people without like weird, crazy problems. They're like accountants and stuff.
Right.
And then like the rest of us, we play guitar.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of weird how like it does it. It fixes the broken thing. I guess I got a broken thing. I just go out, I pick that up, and it's like been waiting for this all day long. Here it is.
It just feels right. Yep.
As long as it's a Telecaster, right?
You know what? Actually, and you'll see this on the new Chasing Tone show coming up. I bought. Don't make fun of me, but I bought an Ibanez RG350 with the floating trim, straight from the '80s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and I actually bought it kind of one because I got a really good deal for it. Two because I was like, I'm gonna do this hair distortion thing, and it's gonna be freaking funny with this Ibanez, right?
Oh yeah, you kind of need it, yeah.
But then I started playing. I'm like, I actually kind of like it, and I shouldn't.
Yeah, I think knowing what I know about you, that's not a guitar that I would picture you being into at all. I mean, it's got like the big old flat neck and and everything, like the whole 9 yards.
Stock, yep.
EMGs.
So yeah. Now this one, I don't even know what they are. I think they're like Ibanez branded pickups or something. I mean, it was like $160. It wasn't very much. So, but Max and I, for the podcast, we've been talking about installing a G bender in it just for the fun of it.
Do it. Do it,
just
please.
Because how great of a video would it be seeing some guy play this guitar and doing like G bender licks on it?
It'd be amazing. Please do that.
So
I'm sure you can probably have somebody do that and figure out how to write it off. It'll be totally worth it.
Oh, exactly. It's a business expense.
It's a business. This Ibanez needs a G bender. It's clearly a legitimate business expense.
Right.
Get off my back about it, tax man.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's phenomenal. Actually, now that you mentioned it, I did see that the other day. I forgot you did. Somebody posted about it. I did see that thing.
I think we had it on the Insta pages. So
yeah, the old Insta pages.
Yep.
Good stuff. Well, I'm excited for that video. That's gonna be excellent. I'll be hammering that up. Actually, I'll probably I'll put a link to it in the show notes. So
cool.
Make it easy on everybody. So
nice,
good stuff. No problem. Let's see. Let's find another question for you. Let's do what I do. What's your current rig looking like?
My current rig.
I know you're constantly pedal swapping, so maybe we should just talk guitar and amp on that. But
yeah, I mean it's hard, like, because of the nature of the business, like I don't really have like a current rig. I mean, and here's why I say that. Like, let's say it's Friday night, and like one of my friends who plays in local bands, like, hey, why don't you come sit in with us tonight? I will literally, walk into my little studio, and I have a bunch of pedals on a shelf. I'll just pick out some, put them on a pedal board, and I'll look around the room and be like, which amp do I want to take tonight? I'll take that one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's like literally that's the process. And then, of course, I grab a Telecaster because you're in Indiana, and it's going to be a bro country type of thing. So,
oh no,
that's just the evils of gigging in Indiana, or at least Southern Indiana, where I'm at. So, yeah. So I mean, it might be a Port City amp. I like Shaw's stuff. I've taken the Hot Rod Deluxe before. Sometimes the Deluxe Reverb. That's usually the main ones. Is something along those lines. The Port City actually sounds really good with pedals. It's one of my favorite pedal platform amps.
Yeah, didn't you say that thing's like really on one of the Chasing Tone episodes? It was like really a neutral, like great for coloring, like kind of like a blank canvas type of thing.
It is, man. It is. I mean, it's like you can put like any pedal into it, and it sounds good. It'll sound good. And you can, so like there's some brands of amps where it seems like the different pedals really don't sound that dramatically different. They still sound like the amp. I actually don't like that. And that's one of the things about this Port City Pearl that I actually do like is that every pedal has this, you can hear the individual flavor of everything. And and I love that because I like having a bunch of pedals, I mean,
right.
It's, I don't know. It depends how you approach it. I mean, there's guys who, they have a Princeton or something and love the sound of the Princeton, so they just need a couple pedals to throw in front of it. I'm the opposite guy. I'm like, I don't want everything to sound like the Princeton. I want everything to sound like my pedal, So at least when I'm playing out, and I mean, that's what's fun to me. So just, it's a lot easier to swap pedals in and out than to bring 8 different amps.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Is that why you kind of start like you're really known for doing the amp in a box thing? Is that kind of the reasoning? Because you don't want to take 40 different amps with you, but by using that approach, you kind of can.
That's where it all started from. Yeah, it all started from the fact that I was playing in a band. I mean, when I was first like contemplating doing these amp in a box things, I was playing in a band, and the guy I was playing with was getting pretty. He's getting pretty angry with me because I was bringing 3 or 4 amps to gigs, and he was like, "Dude, we're playing in a VFW, and you have 4 amps on the freaking stage, and there's no room for the drums." And it kind of made me realize that I should probably take the amp in a box type stuff a little more seriously, and be a little more appealing to my bandmates, so they didn't hate me quite so much.
Right.
So and plus, I mean, I was younger then, of course, but it's a big pain in the ass to lug 4 amps or 5 amps around,
Yeah.
And I'm not. I mean, it would be one thing if they're like, yeah, this one's a Princeton and this one's a Champ. I was bringing 4 12 cabinets, 2 12 cabinets, 1 12 cabinet, and you know what I mean.
That's intense.
Yeah, I mean, I was bringing a trailer from my own rig. You know what I mean?
At a VFW show.
And it's not because like I thought I was some big shot. It was just because I was so obsessed. Like that was my obsession. I was so obsessed with whatever song we were playing. The guitar had to sound right. It had to sound like the record. You know what I mean? I mean, literally, like I would get so angry with other guitar players I play with because I'm like, that sounds nothing like the record. What are you doing? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I mean, that was so important to me. And I'm like, you know what? This would be much easier if I could just come up with some pedals that get these particular types of flavors, and at least close enough that I don't have to lug 5 amps around.
Right.
So that's where I came from.
You got really excited about that. I like that. That's great.
I have to be honest. I may need a moment alone for just a minute.
Oh yeah, just take your time. We'll be here.
Okay.
Go ahead, Brian. Just
okay. I think I'm okay now.
You feeling good?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Okay.
I totally to get back on that. I totally get it though. Like I can't stand like it. I guess for me it doesn't have to sound just like the record necessarily, but it just has to sound good and right for the song. And I've heard guys play, not really anybody that like I know, but like just bands that were out and about, usually opening for somebody I was wanting to see, and it was like, all right, can you even hear your guitar right now? It sounds horrendous, like that.
Right.
And not just in the mix, sometimes the guitar has to sound a little bit weird to fit in the mix, but it just sounded terrible. And they was playing the right notes, it appeared, everything was in tune, it was just like, that sounds like mud, or that's an ice pick, that's just terrible. And I just such a tone snob, I just can't help,
it's like the metal guy who's playing a blues junior and a tube screamer, and you kind of feel sorry for him because all you want to do is walk up to him during a break and say, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but you have the absolute wrong equipment for the gig. Like a tube screamer and a blues junior is not going to cover Metallica. It's just not going to work.
No, it doesn't. I've went on this, I've went on this before. And there is truth to it, but like I actually did a blog post about it. But there's the all in the fingers attitude, which I'm like, okay, I believe that. Yes, everybody sounds different than each other based on how you play.
Absolutely.
But however, I feel like people kind of use that sometimes to write off the gear. Like you don't need that. It's like, no, sometimes you do need whatever it is to sound appropriate. Like,
well, we actually did kind of like I don't know if you caught it or not, but we did this little test on one of the Chasing Tone shows with Anthony from Texas Blues Alley. It's been, I don't know, a month or so ago. We basically
I caught that.
Well, we took the same exact rig, everything, pedals set the same, everything, and just passed the guitar around to the three of us, Max, Anthony, and me, and it's the same tone, but it sounds dramatically different, just basically because of playing style, I mean, it just does. So I mean, there's kind of there is so much involved in the hands that you're not going to get out of a pedal.
Of course, it's impossible.
And vice versa. There's so much. I mean, you're not going to buy a pedal that makes you sound like Steve Vai. I mean, but you can get a pedal that's going to approximate, or a pedal or amp or whatever, that's going to approximate the sound that Steve Vai gets. Does that make any sort of sense at all? Maybe I'm not being
absolutely
clear enough by
I'm
explaining
following
it.
you. Basically, you're not going to sound like Steve Vai. Like you're not going to have
you're
his
not gonna
feel.
Right. You're not going to phrase things exactly like. You're not going to. You know what I mean? You're not going to have his exact touch. You can try to get it, but I mean, and a good example. Not to be like hey, look, he's dropping names, but there was one time in Nashville when I was helping Brent Mason get all his gear set up several years ago. We were going through his entire rig, so we had everything all set out in a studio, rehearsal studio, and he was doing the classic Brent stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And he's like, all right, well, I'm going to use the bathroom. I'll be back. And I said, can I play for a minute? And he's like, yeah, of course. So I got in there, and guess who I did not sound like? Did not sound anything like what he was playing. Nope. I sounded just like me on his stuff.
Oh, I was going to guess. You didn't sound like Kirk Hammett.
Well, I did sound like Kirk Hammett, oddly enough.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was confused.
I turned the wah on and instant Kirk Hammett. So.
Oh yeah, does he? He don't ever get off that wall. He's not interested in it. He's been on it since the '80s, and he's not about to get off of it.
it's the bypass switch has been removed. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a nice guy. Never talked to him, but I'm sure he's nice. But you know, maybe turn the wall off every now and then.
Hey, I like Metallica. Whatever. I have no shame.
Nope.
No shame. No shame. So, I'm not sure I'm not sure about this question. It's something I've wanted to ask you before.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm happily married.
Oh, but so no then?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
Okay, I guess I'll you know,
Hey,
I'll call you later.
We'll just stop this here then.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to air this because my heart is breaking. Anyway.
No, seriously.
Yeah, no, seriously. No, seriously, guys, seriously. This is like this. You don't have to really get into this if you don't want to, but it's something I wanted to talk to you about because I know you are really entrenched with the country guys, and I am a country fan. And I don't remember if we talked about this on Instagram, I think, but I am like a real traditional fan, like old school stuff and like outlaw stuff, and I really like what Sturgill Simpson's doing and guys like that. And I am just like the guys at my work, they listen to the new stuff all day, every day. And it's like torture to me, for the most part. There's some good guys, but like, there's a couple of guys I can't take. And I was just curious, like, where you stood on that, because I know you are a big country fan, and that's what you do. Do you prefer the older stuff, and you just kind of do the newer stuff because that's what you have to do, or what's your take on it?
Man, it's actually really interesting. So, a lot of these guys, like, I know pretty well. You know what I mean? Just from years of being in the business, a lot of these guys were smaller whenever we were all on Broadway together, and then they got big. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we all have the same friends, and so I go hang out at the shows, and you know, it's not like, oh my God, it's Jake Owen. It's Jake. You know, I've known him since he was smaller, not smaller in popularity. You know what I mean? And,
right.
And so, that's just an example. It's not that Jake just feels this way or whatever. But a lot of the guys, almost all of them, I'm trying to think of one that doesn't feel this way. But when they're sound checking, they're not playing their stuff, man. They're playing Merle. They're playing Waylon. They're playing stuff they love. And then when they get on stage and play for, 30, 40,000 people, they play the stuff that people came there to see. You know? So at the end of the day, it's a business.
Of course.
You know? And they're playing what people are paying them to play. You know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's true. You gotta do that.
Yeah, and that's I mean the real truth is a lot of the guys would love for it to go back to more traditional roots. They would love for it to. And that's just your 30-year-old housewives aren't wanting to hear Waylon.
Right. And apparently the guys in their mid-50s at this office aren't either. So right. I don't know.
The 20, 25-year-old girls who are going to your concerts and singing Luke Bryan songs, the last thing they want to hear is Waylon Jennings,
Yeah. They need Midnight Moons, they need 4x4s, and they need Shake It For Me.
Right. Yeah, I mean let's talk about trucks. Maybe throw some tractors in, and you probably
cornfields.
Need some cornfields, and the guy needs to be handsome, have tight jeans, and he needs and he's got to shake his butt for the girls.
Oh yeah.
And then he'll want the country girl to shake it for him at some point.
That's right.
So and that's, but I mean this is all marketing stuff, man.
It is.
I mean, and that's that, and I hate to say it, but the truth is that if you got a band and you're trying to get your band out there, and you're like, no, I'm doing it for the art. That's awesome, and that's so cool. more than likely you have to think along what the market wants and what people are willing to buy if you want to make a good living off of that. And that's not a popular thing to say. It's just not.
It's not. It's but it is the truth of it. Which kind of leads me to a question for you. I'm not really sure how exactly to put this. To me, there seems to be like a backlash a little bit against some of that. That's really starting to like gain momentum. With some people. I mean, to me, it's just odd. It's always been odd to me that like Americana, as it's kind of become labeled, or alt country, sounds more country to me than country does. And I feel like there's this big backlash right now, and I almost wonder what would happen if like somebody who is in the the bro country or whatever you want to call it scene was to start taking that approach. If maybe it would gain traction. I don't know.
Well, it all comes down to let's follow the money trail. You know what I mean? So right now, radios put out music, and they sell advertising to big companies who want to be in between those segments of music, right? And then, so the artist gets some money from that. They get some money, a little bit of money from iTunes downloads. The biggest money they get is when 30,000 people go to their venue and pay for tickets and then buy shirts and buy,
of course,
CDs and buy $10 beers and whatever else. So, so that's how they're making their living right now, right? And by contrast, you have some guys that are putting out great music that may have a couple hundred people in a club, and they're trying to sell some CDs and shirts and everything else, but the money's just not there. The marketing and promotion isn't there, and the name isn't there because it's not on every radio station in America. You know what I mean? Right. So the question is, how do you get an entire segment of population to start liking you?
Well, that is a good question. Where I was kind of like leaning with that question is like, what would happen if, like, I mean, this is totally like theorizing. Like, I have no idea if this would even work. But like, what would happen if, say, like Luke Bryan dropped a not to be a total jerk, but a real country song?
Well, first of all, he would lose his entire audience because all the little young girls that want to see him shake his butt don't want to hear that stuff.
That's true. That's
And they're the ones that are buying the tickets, and they're the ones that are talking to their boyfriends into buying the tickets and the shirts and the hats and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you don't get the girls there, the boys aren't going to be there. Those boys are there for one reason, and it usually involves around relations of some sort. So, that's kind of a problem.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, that is probably likely. I'm just like fantasizing that maybe that something like that could actually be pulled off these days, and I don't know if it's. I don't even know if it's doable.
You're fantasizing that what? I'm sorry, you cut out.
Oh, sorry. Well, good thing you didn't hear that part. Oh, I was. Maybe you don't want to hear what I was fantasizing about.
Hands where I can see them. Hands where I can see them.
No, I was just saying, like, I don't know. I was just kind of thinking out loud, like I wish that would work. Like, it seems like it has. I don't know. It seems like it has in the past. I just don't know if it would work in today's world or not.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, man. I mean, and like I said, I really don't want to be like the guy, like, I know that guy. But
right.
I mean, a lot of these guys I've talked to, they're sweating it, man. They're not making as much money. They're not selling CDs like they used to.
Of course
they're not making near the money they used to. A number one hit does absolutely little to nothing compared to what it used to. They're sweating it. They don't. They're trying to figure out how to keep making their standard of living in music.
Right.
And music's changing. It's if you're a marketing fan, which more than likely you're probably not, it's called the long tail effect. So what that means is that you have all these bands, tons and tons and tons and tons of bands. They have anywhere from 2 fans to 300 fans to 3,000 fans to whatever. you know, and there's never been more of these type of bands than ever in history. All because of the internet.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
And if you're old like me, I remember before the internet. So,
wait, what?
Yes, I know it's hard for you to understand, Blake, but there was a time when there was no Google.
Actually, I do know about those times. Those were dark days. You'll figure out how old I am here pretty quick. I remember, the internet wasn't a thing. I do recall that. I remember when computers were a luxury item. Well, yeah, it was back in the day.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm trying to remember what
long tail. We were talking
was.
long tail. Internet.
Okay, so
yeah.
If you're asking me, and keep in mind, I'm just a guy who watches trends, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think everything's going to dramatically change, and at some point, you're not going to have the Brad Paisleys, and you're not going to have the Luke Bryans, and you're not going to have those guys, the Taylor Swifts near as often, near as much. Certainly not getting paid near as much as what you do now. And right. I think it's just because not everybody, but a gigantic majority of the world has a freaking phone in their hand with a camera and the capability to send video live or not live to people who have an interest in what they're doing. I mean, I can tell you this, it's similar to the pedal market. If it wasn't for this technology, there would be no Wampler pedals. There would probably be no, JHS, Earthquake, or Robert Keeley, Analog Man. You name it. It just wouldn't exist. Not nearly on the level that we're at, Oh,
of course not.
I mean, look at George Trips. George Trips was huge in his day, and he was selling
Would you say that he was way huge?
He was way huge in his day. And I think he was selling 20 pedals a month or 30 pedals.
Yeah.
Which is, that's nothing, man. We build more than that in a day easy, an hour, it's nowhere near comparable.
Right.
So, it's just a different age. It's things are changing. They're changing rapidly. And those who take advantage of the tools you have are the guys that are going to come out, are going to be the guys that are known.
Right.
They're going to be the Jamies from Earthquaker. They're going to be the Robert Keeleys. You know what I mean? So
it's a cool thing. We've kind of went in a different way with this, but it's an interesting topic because it's now any jerk can make his own podcast where he interviews people. You know what I mean? It's wait a second.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
No, trust me. People can point a camera at them and put it on YouTube and talk about nothing at all for 35 minutes and 3,000 people watch it.
Mm-hmm.
It's unreal, but at the end, it's all about providing value. It's either you're either entertaining someone, or you're giving them information, or you're combining the two and giving them information and entertainment.
Right.
So I don't know, kids, quit school, take advantage of it. You know what's funny? This is totally off topic again, which is so out of character for me to go
I know,
off
so
topic,
weird. You're usually so on the point. Yeah. Anyway,
but what's weird is the stuff we're talking about now, I have to go to my son's school on Wednesday and talk to his entrepreneur class about this stuff. And it's freaking funny because I barely graduated high school and didn't go to college. Well, I went to college parties, but I never went to college and did any studying. Right. And then, there's colleges around Indiana that I go talk to their entrepreneur classes, and it's just so funny. What's the key to being a success? I'm quit school and work your ass off.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key. Stop learning about what IBM did and just work your butt off.
Just start grinding. It's here we are. This is quite a Gear podcast, but hey, we're just gonna inspire you guys that.
This applies to every musician. You can do it. Just stop. Instead of wasting time, playing Xbox, work on your music, work on your business, work on getting out in front of people, get on your Facebook and your Instagram and your Snapchat and your YouTube and everything that you do that instead of waste time.
Right. Instead of, I mean, I know just as well as anybody about the lack of time, but it's how you allocate it. Like,
yes.
For example, this whole Tone Mob thing, now that it's kind of starting to be something, which I wasn't really sure what it was going to be.
No, dude, it's cool, man. It's
And,
cool. I've got it. I'm subscribed on my phone, man. I listen to it. I love it.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. I really appreciate it. That's awesome. That means a lot to me. It's just like what I did is I thought to myself, I really would like to do something with this gear obsession that I have. And all I did was, instead of spending the time looking at pedals, researching pedals, and whatever else music gear related I was looking at, I decided to put that work into my own thing. All I did was I'm still looking at gear and researching gear, but I'm doing it and applying it instead of just letting it sit there in my brain for no reason. So,
and that's the beauty, man, because I mean, you're doing exactly what you need to do. You're taking your passion and you're providing value to other people. And so you're building, I mean, to use a marketing term, you're building an audience in order to leverage yourself down the road, right? So, I mean, the truth is, you're doing it because you love it. You're doing it for the right reasons. You're not doing it because you're like, you know what? I got an idea. Maybe if I charge,
I got an idea.
I got this awesome podcast that we're going to charge everybody $29.99 for the CD of every podcast. All I need is an infomercial. All I need is an infomercial on a well-lit stage.
That's right.
That's all I need.
And some hair gel.
And some hair gel.
I need lots of hair gel to make this, to really make this thing happen.
Right. But wait, that's not it. You not only get the first podcast, you get the second podcast for half price.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a labor of love, man. And I tell people all the time, if I was like we're pretty good as far as like financially and where we sit in the realm of the pedal stuff, right? But like if I was really wanting to do something to make a ton of cash for a living, it would not be guitar pedals. There's just not that much money in it, No,
I think people have an illusion that there is, but it's
not. It's not. You can easily do let's say $2 million a year. You can easily do 2 million of sales a year, and you're not making that much at the end of the day.
Right.
You're probably better off getting $100,000 a year job being an engineer after going to college. You got to do it because you love it. You got to.
Yeah, and the guys that are successful are those guys that do actually love it. Like there's not really that I'm aware of anybody that just hates guitar pedals that has a successful pedal company.
I won't. I'm not going to name names. I actually do know a guy or two who hates the business. Hates it.
Well, I can understand maybe not liking the business, but like, what about? I mean, they obviously had an interest on some level in gear. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it. That's just amazing to me.
They did until they started getting successful, and now that it's turned into a business, they hate it.
Well, that's miserable.
Exactly.
That's terrible.
And I mean, I'm different. I'm like, embrace it, man. Embrace it. You're helping tons of people do what they love to do, and you're bringing joy to so many people. Because you're giving them what they want. You're giving them guitar tone that they're looking for. But anyways,
they're hungry for it. Like, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've never acquired a new piece of gear and then was mad about it. It was always like, yes, I'm so glad this guy made this thing, and it, yeah, you're right. They need to embrace it. They need to realize that it's a pretty amazing thing.
It is.
Really.
It is. I mean, it's it takes a certain person to be able to run a business, right? And it's one thing from going from your garage where you're building, one by one by hand, to now you have retailers and distributors, and you have manufacturing, and you know what I mean? Like it turns into a regular business. It just so happens that the product that you're shipping, you like, you have an interest in,
right?
So you're not, making, I don't know, walkie-talkies or something. You're making something that you actually give a damn about. So, I think we talked earlier, and I'm like, things could be a lot worse. I used to roof houses, and it was like in the summer, I was on a black roof. It was like 120 degrees, and I was sweating more than I can take in water. I mean, like there's worse things that suck than this. Like this is pretty cool. I get it. I get to talk to people about guitar gear. And I get a check every week. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, this is cool as hell. So, I mean, I don't get that. I don't get that. But I will tell you honestly, I absolutely know people that hate the business side of it.
Oh, I can understand that, but it's necessary.
It's a necessary part of it, and if you're a musician who wants to go out there and make money, the business part of it is big. You got to watch your business. You have to be aware of it, and you have to know the business side of it. Because just making great songs, just writing great songs is not enough. There's tons of people that write great songs. Tons of people that play great guitar. That's not enough.
They're a dime a dozen, really. I mean,
yes.
not to belittle anyone, but it's like, I know lots of good guitar players. I've seen lots of good guitar players in Guitar Center just doing their thing. And it's like, and, back in the day, I remember talking to like my grandparents and stuff, and they would hear somebody like that, like, man, why isn't that guy famous? And as a kid, I thought, why isn't he famous? And then you grow up and realize we're not all special unicorn things like we're told that we're going to be. So
not everybody gets the first place trophy.
That's right.
That's the way it goes.
Some people even get no trophy.
That's true. Some people get no trophy.
Oh, that's right. We already shooed the kids away, so we're okay. Yeah, some people don't get a trophy. Tell your children that they don't get a trophy.
Right. Yep.
There's no participation trophies in life.
Oh, great. Now you're going to have to change your podcast to parentingmob.com or something.
Oh boy. I'm not even going to go there.
No parenting tips for the consumer. Okay.
I've not been a parent long enough to give any kind of tips at all whatsoever. I have no idea what I'm doing.
None of us do. None of it. We're all like flying by the seat of our pants and like, oh crap, that didn't work. What do I do now?
Oh man, good stuff. Very, very good stuff. I don't know how we got there, but I liked it.
Well, hopefully by this time, what are we, 55 minutes into this or whatever? Hopefully,
we're getting close.
Hopefully, you have like more than like 3 people that are still hanging on, thinking, surely they're going to talk about something relevant to gear,
Maybe I'm trying to even figure out how I can at this point, and I don't know that it's possible. I don't think we can right this ship. I think it's overturned. It's turned into an entrepreneur motivational speech. It's turned into a ripping on bro country. It's turned into, I don't even know. You want to say that you guys are chasing the topic? I mean, top this. I dare you. It's not going to be done.
Well,
so good. Wow.
Well, hopefully, if nothing else, to everyone listening, hopefully you at least got a chuckle out of it. You at least got some sort of laugh out of it. And we're expecting you to share it to your friends and tell them how great the Tone Mob is. So.
Well, yeah. I don't even know where to go from here, Brian. I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, the wheels are turning in my brain. I'm looking at my list of questions, and none of them matter. It doesn't matter anymore.
Right. So now you're throwing the paper up in the air, like, whatever, forget it.
Yeah, but not in the cool way where like Eminem ditches his lyric sheets. It's not like that. It's just like that guy's like, I don't know.
Maybe this is the point where you just literally drop the mic, walk away.
I think it might be. I think it's probably for the best that we call it. We probably should call this one. Call it Wrapped, and maybe we can do this again sometime.
Yeah.
And I promise we'll try to be better. We'll try. It won't happen. It won't happen.
Love to.
But
You know, a cool thing. I mean, if your subscribers just send you like an email that says, "Hey, next time Brian's on the show, ask him this question." You know,
hey.
I would love to. I'll be totally glad to answer that stuff, man.
Well, that'd be great. So yeah, everybody do that. If there's something you would like to know from Mr. Brian Wampler or myself, not that I know a whole lot, but if there's anything you'd like to know, send a question to info@tonemob.com. And once we get a little stash of them going, we will have him back on and we will be more gear related.
Right. Or you have an Instagram page too, right? So they could always post pictures or post questions on the Instagram page, right?
Yeah, they could do Instagram. They could do comments on this episode. They could do whatever they want to do. Yeah. Get with me on all my normal channels. You guys know where that is. Instagram, Twitter, email.
Send a self-addressed stamped envelope.
Yes, please do. Actually, know what? I got a better idea. Just everybody send all your questions over to max@oneplaypedals.com.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. Yes, like the craziest. Oh, I would love this, guys. The craziest question you can think of. Like it could be like, dude, I have a PV Bandit and I'm trying to get Kirk Hammett's tone on Kill 'Em All, and I have a compressor and no distortion channel. What do I need to do?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I would love that.
Yeah, let's do it. Guys, seriously, send some weird questions over to max@wamplerpedals.com and we'll see what happens. It'll be funny.
Oh, that'd be great. So.
All right. Well, Brian, thank you very much for coming on.
My pleasure, man.
We will definitely do it again. This was quite enjoyable for me. I hope it was as enjoyable for everybody else. So, yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So, for Brian, I'm Blake, and good luck and good tones. Wow, that was good times. Another big thank you to Brian for coming on the show and shooting the old breeze. That was a most enjoyable chat. And thank you to all of you who are listening to this episode. It's awesome that you guys are interested enough, and I'll keep on doing what I do. Really appreciate all the support. I just want to take these last couple minutes and let you all know, if you are so inclined, about the various ways you can help support the show and keep this thing moving. The easiest way would be to drop a review on iTunes. That helps get us up in the rankings, helps new people find the show. It really is a huge thing. So thank you very much to everyone that has already taken the time to do that. And if you have a couple minutes and are so inclined, I would really, really appreciate it. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the items in the tonemob.com store. So tonemob.com/store, you'll see the t-shirt pre-order is over. The pre-orders have all shipped, and they are now in stock and available, ready to ship. So if you weren't really into waiting, they're available right now. So that's available. And then coming up in the near future, there will be Tone Mob guitar picks. These will be made out of obsidian, as I recently discovered that I'm a huge fan of stone picks. And yeah, these are going to be really cool. They definitely change your sound. There's a lot of added harmonic content that I personally didn't realize I was missing out on until I tried them. These are going to be made in Atlanta by my friend Stone Picks. So there you go. Pretty straightforward. You can look for those coming up very soon. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. Take care. Bye. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.